What should be the AU summits? What should they be focusing on most this time? And we have with us in the studio to discuss this issue an African affairs analyst, also a PR consultant, Jermaine Sanwoolu. Thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you very
much.
Now,
so much seems to be brewing for this summit of the AU this time. What should we expect? Peace and security. Considering what's going on in Burundi, Burkina Faso, where there's been a clampdown on the civilians, what should we expect from the AU this time?
Well, the AU summit, 26th AU summit, is primarily going to be focused on human rights, especially the women's human rights. And talking about peace and security in this context is something that we must really consider, because for there to be stability regionally and also as a continent, we need to understand that apart from having the troops in the right places, we must also ensure that the human rights of each person, each African that is engaged in this battle, or that may through one mishap or the other be affected by it, is actually upheld. Both people that are fighting the wars, people that are actually pushing this peace, should actually understand that human rights is a key thing. Now, what I'm really encouraged about this AU summit, apart from the peace and security summit, because we know that the Boko Haram issue in Nigeria and is spreading to Somalia and other places like that. They need to stamp it out through regional efforts and collaboration. We're able to stem it out in Nigeria through Cameroon and Chad's help, and I'm sure there's going to be a regional integration that will help in that place. But also, apart from peace and security, they're also going to be focusing on women affairs and also youth affairs too, bringing the demographics. And in third year, they're going to be looking at how they're going to be able to use youth to bring more collaborative and inclusive development into the continent of Africa. Because the youths, for example, are the ones that are being used by all these terrorist organizations and these rebel forces to actually propagate their hatred and their heinous crimes in society. So making youths as part of the development process will be very essential in this summit. And that's what they're going to be looking at too.
I'm glad you've mentioned a couple of the issues to be discussed, but all these issues you have mentioned and which will be discussed are not new. They're all going to be, they're all recycled.
Yes.
So this is the 26th AU summit.
Yes.
So how effective or impactful have these summits been all these years?
Well, you must understand that the AU has the Agenda 2063. Yeah, and that has to do with a long-term plan to ensure that there's integration, that we're building towards a strong, prosperous, peaceful, and actually an African nation that is actually more integrated. So with that in mind, it's not going to happen overnight. So they have to take it systematically and progressively. So all these talks that are being taken up right now, ensuring there's human rights, which is the foundation for development, ensuring that every single person's voice and rights are being respected, is something that you must take seriously if it comes to the AU summit. Okay,
what proposals or what do you think can be implemented to ensure that these countries involved actually carry out what they hear and say at the summits?
Well, there needs to be government backing. You understand? It's one thing to go to the AU and talk the good talk, but now they need to put boots on ground. They need to be walking the talk that they've displayed. And I believe that just like even the Nigerian government is doing, is trying, I'm sure you remember the Abuja Treaty and the Lagos Action Plan, that Nigeria is even taking the leadership, it's taking leading by example and saying, we're going to put things in place in our own nation to actually ensure that this Agenda 63, to ensure that the African continent is actually integrated, it's prosperous and it's peaceful, is very important. Now, apart from that, there must also be support when it comes to troops that are being deployed. There must also be financial backing, whereby everyone will come together and say, we're going to fight this terrorism, we're going to fight insecurity, and we're going to ensure that peace reigns in the African continent.
Well, something I think escaped this issues to be discussed at this particular summit is the consequences of a constitutional breach by sitting president. Don't you think that shall be top burner, considering the cases of Burundi, Mozambique and the likes?
Well, many people have said that, and it's really a cause of concern that many African leaders today believe that the seat of power is for them, and not only for them, but for their families. But I believe that in this AU summit, I'm sure in the side meetings, they'll be discussing how they can review. You know that these people are very influential, and to just come in and try and tell them to leave power, it's going to be in some international politics, diplomacy, it has to be treaded very carefully. But I'm sure, as you said, that this is is something we must actually focus on. How, just like in the Nigerian setting, how there can be good transition of government, how they can ensure that, you know, Africa is seen as a very, very integrated and also one that focuses on integrity and leadership and development.
All right, TVC News will definitely keep a careful tab on this story as it develops and ensure, and let's hope that this is not just another talk shop. Sanwoolu Jermaine, thank you for joining us on TVC News.
Thanks for having me.